Thank you so much for joining us for this information session. Tonight, we will be discussing the online and part-time graduate programs in computer science, cybersecurity, and information systems engineering offered at the Whiting School of Engineering at Johns Hopkins University. My name is Cheryl Williams, and I am the Assistant Director of Recruitment and Marketing for the Whiting School of Engineering. With me tonight is Dr. Thomas Longstaff. Tom is the chair of the Computer Science, Cybersecurity, and Information Systems Engineering programs. He began his role as chair in 2010 while serving as the chief scientist for the Cyber Missions branch of Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory, or APL. From 2012 to 2014, he served as a senior computer scientist for the U.S. Department of Defense. And in October of 2014, he returned to APL as a principal member of their technical staff, where he works today. Tom, thank you for joining us tonight. Would you like to say hello?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Welcome, and very glad to see all of you here and ready to answer your questions tonight.
All right. Thank you, Tom. Also with me tonight is Dr. Eleanor Clan. Eleanor is the program manager for computer science, cybersecurity, and information systems engineering programs. She began her career at APL as an associate staff mathematician. She has served as an instructor for our programs for over 32 years. She currently teaches a course in data structures and also serves as the associate chair for these programs. For tonight's presentation, we'll start off with an introduction to Johns Hopkins Engineering. Next, Eleanor and Tom will discuss with you our online and part-time degree programs in computer science, cybersecurity, and information systems engineering. Then we'll review some helpful information on tuition and payment options, talk about next steps and important dates, and we'll end with a live question and answer session. If you have any questions at any point in the presentation, please type them into the questions tab on your control panel. If you are joining us via a cell phone or a tablet this evening, simply select the question mark to access the question section. We'll address all questions at the end of the presentation. So why study engineering at Johns Hopkins University? Johns Hopkins University was founded in 1876 as the nation's first research university. The School of Engineering opened its doors in 1913, and in 1915 it began offering part-time engineering coursework as night classes for technical workers. Since then, we've grown to offer more than 20 master's programs that can be completed part-time. 18 of these programs can be completed entirely online. Our programs are designed by people who thoroughly understand your industry. We like to say that our programs are for engineers by engineers. Our faculty are expert and working engineers. Eleanor and Tom will talk more about the faculty in just a few slides. Our faculty and instructional designers also construct new and update existing coursework every year so that it includes the most up-to-date information. In addition to our part-time programs, the Whiting School of Engineering has over 25 research centers and institutes. This includes our strong partnership with the Johns Hopkins Applied Physics Laboratory in Laurel, Maryland. We also offer full-time bachelor's, master's, and PhD programs that are conducted in residence at our Homewood campus in Baltimore. Our online and part-time programs are led by respected senior engineers from our Applied Physics Laboratory and faculty from our full-time programs. We are ranked in the top 20 best online graduate engineering programs by U.S. News & World Report. We are ranked 5th for best online graduate computer information technology programs. And of all the schools that are included in these rankings, we have the largest online part-time student population. So not only will you have lots of fellow students going through a similar learning experience, but these rankings really speak to the quality of our programs regardless of our size, and our school is experienced and well equipped to help you navigate graduate education as an online student. The degree that you earn studying with us part-time is of the same quality as our full-time degree programs. Your diploma will not say online or part-time. You are eligible and highly encouraged to participate in commencement. And as a graduate, you will be one of more than 28,000 Whiting School alumni and will join our esteemed international alumni community. So that is an overview of who we are and the value of our programs. Now Eleanor is going to talk to you more about these 3 specific program areas. Eleanor?
So I really like that this slide has been included in the deck because this really speaks to me as this is our typical student. Somebody who's been out of school a while, they're juggling a job, they're juggling a family, and they're still find it important enough to go back to school, and they're making that work too. And within reason, our job here is to try to find a way to make that work for you. So our goal with our programs is to balance theory with practice. We consider this an applied program. For the majority of students, it's probably their terminal degree. Although that being said, we still have students every year who do go on to doctoral programs. Our focus in what we offer is on both breadth and depth. You will find that we probably have more computer science courses than almost any other program out there. We have somewhere in the vicinity of 120 courses that we offer amongst the 3 programs. And if you're in computer science, you can take somewhere about 90 of them. And so if you're like most students, the biggest problem that you're going to have is figuring out how to restrict that list down to 10, because there are just so many interesting courses to choose from. We not only have a broad range, but we have tremendous depth in each of our tracks. A lot of programs might offer 2 or 3 courses in software engineering. We have 10 or 12. They might offer 1 course in distributed development, and maybe a topics course, but we have 9 or 10 courses in that area. So we have both breadth and depth. Our faculty members are all experienced professionals in the field. In fact, that's basically an admission requirement for somebody who's interested in teaching for us. We expect them to work in the field. They teach for us because they love teaching. They're in the classroom because they want to be in the classroom, not because somebody's making them do it in addition to the other stuff that interests them. They're there because they want to be, and you will be able to tell the difference. Our program is extremely flexible because there are so many choices. We can have 2 people that both graduate and meet all the degree requirements and yet haven't taken a single course in college. So like I said, the biggest problem you're most likely to experience is cutting that list of courses down to only 10. Okay. For this information session, we're talking about the programs for which Tom is the program chair. We also offer a post-bachelor's graduate certificate, which is 5 courses. It's easy to do. If you're not sure you're ready to commit to a master's degree, it might be a viable option. And if you decide to switch to the master's degree before you're finished, you can do that too. In addition, all 3 of them offer a postmaster's certificate, and that requires an existing closely related master's degree. So someone who already has a master's degree in computer science could do a PMC in any of the 3. Somebody that has an information systems master's could do a postmaster's in the ISE program, and so on and so forth. So we've just enumerated the choices that are available for you in computer science. That 127 classes, they're not really all computer science, but that's the total we have available. You can see a very high percentage of them are online. A very high percentage of them are on site. But if you look at it a little more closely, you'll see that what that means is there are some courses that are not yet available online, and some that are not available on site. But that's not a problem from our perspective. If you're a local student and you want to take an online course one semester and an on-site course the next, knock yourself out. We're happy to accommodate you. You are not stuck with one modality. You can mix and match. Of course, students that are out of the area are going to have to content themselves with online courses. And that means there are some courses that may not be available to them yet. But hang in there. We are constantly adding new online courses. We add a good handful every year. And the only reason we're not entirely caught up is we keep adding new courses to the mix. And we like to teach those on site for a time or two before we put them online. Each of you, as a student, would be assigned an academic advisor to work with during the course of your tenure as a student. Now, this isn't a paid advisor who doesn't really know anything about the curriculum. This is a faculty member, and they know the program. They've probably been teaching in it for quite a while, and they're really in a position to give you useful academic advice. Cybersecurity, we also offer the master's and the PMC. We have found that there are a lot of students who are interested in cybersecurity, and many students in ISE and computer science take cybersecurity courses. A lot of students who are interested in cyber may choose to focus on it from one of the other programs, and that's fine too. Remember what we said earlier, this is a very, very flexible program and a very flexible curriculum. The important thing to know about this program is that it takes an engineering approach. And I'm going to hand it off to Tom now because cybersecurity is his area of expertise.
Thanks, Eleanor. Yeah, one of the things I wanted to mention is that the way that we approach cybersecurity within the master's program is to blend a lot of fundamental and theoretical knowledge of cybersecurity with a very healthy dose of hands-on practice within all of the different tracks and areas that we do within cybersecurity. So what you can expect if you take the deep dive into the cybersecurity degree is a series of foundations and then deeper subject matter courses that give you a really good sense of all of the fundamentals in addition to a lot of practice within the hands-on and lab courses that we have. We've been stressing more and more hands-on, even in our online courses and other modalities that you might take. So we really expect anybody who takes cybersecurity to walk away with both the fundamental and the practical knowledge. Back to you, Eleanor.
Thank you. I also would like to add that there are a lot of programs out there that tend to focus on policy and management courses, and you'll find that this program simply does not have any of them. So if that's what you're looking for, we would suggest you try the ISE program. We do have some policy and management courses on that side of the curriculum. And here we are at ISE. So in addition to the master's and the graduate certificate, the postmaster's, it also offers the graduate certificate. We consider this to be IT for the working engineer. Of all the information systems curriculums out there, this is the one that is the most engineering oriented that we have seen. The sort of the flip side of that is it means there are some math prerequisites as part of the admissions process. But that's okay, it'll be worth it. This is perhaps the most flexible program of all the ones that we offer. If you look at the current course listings, you can take courses from computer science, from cybersecurity, and even from system engineering and tech management. So it's really a good spectrum. And it's a really good choice for someone that maybe they feel like their work would like for them to do system engineering, but they have a passion for cybersecurity. This degree will allow you to combine those two things. And there are numerous other examples where we could give that incorporate the same idea. One of the interesting things about this degree option is that we are in the process of putting together a new option in data engineering. We already offer data engineering courses, but we're getting ready to add some additional ones and to offer a formal option that will be recognized on the transcript. So I'm not sure how long it's going to take for that to happen, but even if it happens after you start the program, it's still quite probably an option you can switch into if that's your interest. All three of our programs share the same basic structure. Gee, that's a big surprise. They have the same chair, the same program manager. I wonder how it could be that they have the same structure. Well, that structure is 10 courses, and you get a 5-year time frame to take them. Now, a lot of you may end up being told you have to take a prerequisite or two before you can start on the good stuff. And a common question we get is, does the 5-year clock start with the prerequisites? No, it starts with the graduate courses. So take as long as you need to satisfy any prerequisites. That 5-year clock starts with the first grad course. Once you get started on the grad courses, we will expect you to take the 3 foundation courses that are required for your specific curriculum. And you'll notice when we get to that there's some sharing. Then you need to take 3 courses from the same track. This is a requirement. The track is not recognized and does not need to be declared, which also means that you can switch it. Maybe you decide, oh, I think I'll do a track in databases, and you take the database course and discover it's not really your cup of tea, then you can change your mind and do a different track. No harm, no foul. So at this point, you've taken 6 courses perhaps. You have 4 left. You can take more courses in your track. You can do 3 or 4 courses from a different track. You can take a scatter shot of courses from other tracks or even outside of your main program. Now, outside electives do specifically require advisor approval. And of course, we always recommend that you discuss your course selections with your advisor. They can probably give you helpful advice. They can help you figure out the appropriate order to take things and whether or not you actually have the right background you're going to need to be successful in that course. By the time you finish your 10 courses, you will have done the 3 foundations, at least 3 in the track. You also need to have taken 3 courses at the 700 level, and one of those will need to be in the track. So this is a new requirement. If you have a friend that's already in the program, they may tell you, oh no, it's only 2. But this is a new requirement starting this summer. And as we previously mentioned, you can take up to 2 courses from outside your base curriculum. Don't feel obliged to do so. A lot of students take all their courses within their main program. But if you do want to do that, be sure to get permission from your advisor because not every course will work as an elective. Okay, so here are our foundation courses for computer science. We have software engineering, computer architecture, and the foundations of algorithms course. So this will give you a broad-based exposure to a good cross-section of the computer science curriculum. Now, it's pretty typical to find architecture and algorithms courses required in a graduate computer science curriculum. But we also require the software engineering, and that's part of our applied focus. You really have to know something about that, we think, if you're going to be a practicing computer scientist. In cybersecurity, you'll notice we have a little bit of a repeat going on. Cybersecurity students also take the algorithms foundation course so that they have a good theoretical grounding in the algorithms that they'll be discussing in their cybersecurity classes. They also take a Foundations of Information Assurance class, which gives them a little bit of exposure to networking topics and a little bit an exposure to the NIST framework. Both of those courses get taken before a required course in cryptology. The cryptology course needs to be taken before any other courses in the analysis track and after the other two foundation courses, but it technically doesn't have to be taken right at the beginning of your program like other foundations have to. So the cryptology course looks at the math aspects of cryptology. And finally, we get to the ISE curriculum, and you'll see that we have double sharing going on. It's borrowing the software engineering course from computer science, and it's borrowing the IA course from the cybersecurity program. In addition to that, it has its own very specific Foundations of Information Systems Engineering. And that also gives you an exposure to a little bit of networking and to the systems engineering topic in general. So all of the foundation courses are going to give a student a broad-based exposure to their curriculum, and that's the intention. We mentioned that each student is required to select a track and take at least 3 courses in it. It's a depth requirement. So in computer science, you can see we have a lot of tracks to choose from. You have typical theory courses, systems courses, which are more hardware focused, software engineering, not a big surprise there. Bioinformatics is a reflection of the joint degree that we offer with another division of the university where students can combine biology courses and computer science courses to get a master's degree in bioinformatics. But students can also, in computer science, can also take courses in that track. Communications and networking, there is a duplication on that. It's the datacom and the communications and networking are really the same thing. We have a data science track and a cloud computing, databases and enterprise computing, and HCI and Viz. The data science and cloud computing track is relatively new. It's only been around for a couple of years. It addresses the computer science side of the whole field of data science. We do offer a new degree program in data science, and there will be an information session focusing specifically on that degree later on in the summer. Sometimes students are interested in data science, but they don't perhaps want to do all of the heavy math. The data science track here in computer science might possibly be a great option in that case. Lots of choices, as you can see. Cybersecurity is much more focused. There are only 3 tracks: analysis, networks, and systems. So the systems offer courses like operating systems or secure operating systems, embedded computer systems, Java security, etc. Networks offers courses like web security, networking security, IA architectures and technologies. The analysis track offers intrusion detection, which is Dr. Longstaff's course. It also offers reverse engineering, ethical hacking, and we have an interesting selection in the pipeline, and you'll just have to participate in the program to see what we have coming down the pipeline. Any comments you want to add, Tom?
No, you covered it well, except to say that cybersecurity is one of the rapidly changing fields that has a lot of proposed courses and a number of things that are being developed. So you can expect a number of courses to begin to show up within the cybersecurity degree and to be cross-listed into the computer science program as well. So we are very aware of the changes and updates that are happening in the world of cybersecurity and try to keep this program as up-to-date and relevant as possible.
And I should mention that we are an NSA recognized university. I can't remember the exact designation, but and again, you can see a lot of overlap. We have similar tracks in information systems engineering, but we are working on some changes in this program. So stay tuned and see what choices become available to you. The cybersecurity track is particularly interesting because we have a large suite of cybersecurity courses that are ISE specific. And that's where our policy and management type courses tend to reside. So we have an information governance course, we have a cyber policy and law course, we have a resiliency course, except that it has a different title. We have a critical infrastructure course. So things like that, if that's the side of cyber that appeals to you. There's a big focus in network engineering in the ISC program, and that's a very popular track with a lot of students as well. And like I said earlier, you can take courses from system engineering and tech management. So you'll see system engineering listed as a specific track here. And this is a really good way to combine system engineering with some courses that are a little bit more technical in nature, if that's what you'd like to do. So we talked about the master's degree. That takes 10 courses. And we talked about the requirements for that. If you're going to do the graduate certificate in ISE, it's only 5 courses. At least 4 of them must be ISE specific courses. And what that really means is listed in the ISE part of the catalog. You can take all 5 of them there, or you can choose one outside elective. There's no requirement for 700 levels in the graduate certificate. And it is possible to change your mind before you're done and move into the master's degree. The postmaster's certificate for all 3 programs requires 6 courses, at least 5 of which must come from the underlying program. Again, you have the option of 1 outside elective. For the postmaster's certificate, you are required to take at least 2 courses at the 700 level. Now, sometimes people are very concerned that they're going to have to go off and take the GRE. We don't require that. And the primary reason we don't require it is, unless you've been out of school just a short time, it's probably not realistic to go back and take it. We like to see that you have pertinent work experience. We definitely require a bachelor's degree, preferably one that is closely related. We are looking for a GPA of 3.0 or better in the latter half of your studies, because that's typically where people focus on the advanced and important courses in their major. We offer several courses that can be taken to meet prerequisites if you don't have them. If you are concerned about whether or not you meet the admissions requirements, I would say go ahead and apply anyways. In the event that you do get rejected, you would then be in a position to go through an appeals process. But of course, I don't think any of you are likely to have that problem. We're not going to turn you down simply because you don't have prerequisites. We're going to say, here's a hole in your background. This is what you need to do to fill it. And it's the same thing for information systems engineering, except that the list of prerequisites is a little bit different. For math, you either have to have calculus or the discrete math. You don't have to have both. And then something else like a statistics course is fine. Or you can do the second one of the calculus and discrete math. That works too. The data structures is going to be conditionally required. That means if you're going to be taking a lot of CS courses and cyber courses as part of your ISD degree, then you're probably going to need to take data structures. If you stick to the ISD 635 courses, network engineering, system engineering, there's a good chance that you can avoid it. So it just depends on what you want to do. But there are enough students that don't take any courses that really need it that we didn't want to make it an absolute requirement for admission to the program. We offer everything except the calculus. You are welcome, regardless of the program to which you apply, to take prerequisites from us or to take them at the school of your choice, and we are happy to pre-approve them for you. We already talked about the fact that we have courses online, on site, and a lot of courses that are offered both ways. And you can mix and match. As Cheryl mentioned earlier, your degree is not going to say online or on site. It's just going to say Johns Hopkins Engineering, Master Science in Cybersecurity, or whatever your program happens to be.
Thank you, Eleanor. For our on-site classes, they are offered primarily at the Applied Physics Laboratory. That location is conveniently located between Washington, D.C. and Baltimore in Laurel, Maryland. And yes, Eleanor or Tom, do you have anything in addition that you want to add about our on-site classes?
So I will mention that although we have many more of our classes online than we do in person at the Applied Physics Lab, we do have a healthy number of classes that are offered each semester in the classroom. So if is the mode that you prefer and you close enough, we certainly can support the entire degree being taken face-to-face still within each of the three programs.
All right, wonderful. Okay, so thank you again, Eleanor and Tom. Now we'd like to share some information to help you take this next step. Some of the most common questions that our admissions team gets from prospective students is, what is the tuition and what resources are available to help me pay? So here it is. Our tuition is currently $4,250 per course. Our courses are each 3 credits, so this is the total tuition cost for each 3-credit course. Because our tuition fluctuates every year due to inflation, we encourage students to budget $45,000 total for the cost of their degree. This may exclude the cost of books and materials. Books and materials varies depending on the coursework that you register for. But in addition to tuition, our students do not pay any fees. So there's no technology fee that students have to pay on a semesterly basis. Our online and part-time students do not pay things like a student union fee. We do not charge a fee to submit your application, so there is no application fee. The only fee that our students pay on a regular basis is, or not a regular basis, but they pay a fee at the end of their course of study with us. It's known as a graduate's fee. You do have a variety of financing options available to you depending on your personal circumstance. I really encourage you to investigate and to take advantage of any education benefits that your employer may offer. The majority of our students are actually using some sort of employer assistance, employer tuition assistance in order to finance their education. We unfortunately do not have any scholarships available for our online and part-time graduate students, but there are other associations and organizations that do. For example, the National Consortium for Graduate Degrees for Minorities in Engineering, otherwise known as the National GEM Consortium, does offer fellowship programs. Rules, requirements, and application instructions can be found on GEM's website. The application for these fellowship programs is open from July 1st to November the 13th. If you are a U.S. citizen or a qualifying U.S. resident, you may be eligible to use financial aid. The financial aid that is available for graduate students is largely unsubsidized loans. So similar to that, you can of course finance your education through a personal loan. And if you are active duty or retired military and you have veterans benefits, you can of course utilize these to finance your education. We do have a number of active duty and retired military enrolled in our online and part-time programs. If you are planning on using veterans benefits to finance your education, here are some things to keep in mind. The URL that you see here on your screen, ep.jhu.edu/veterans, has some great information on what forms you need to complete and submit in order to utilize veterans benefits at Johns Hopkins. For students using Chapter 33 post 9/11 benefits, the Department of Veterans Affairs sets an annual cap on tuition for private schools. That cap is $23,671.94, and that is for an entire academic school year. So it includes the fall, spring, and summer semesters, and it renews every fall. We just talked about tuition costs. 5 courses with us will come underneath that tuition cap. 5 courses is $21,250. 6 courses, however, will exceed the tuition cap. The cost for 6 courses is $25,500. Johns Hopkins is a yellow ribbon school. How yellow ribbon works at Johns Hopkins is that it is applied in once that tuition cap has been exceeded. And if it is exceeded, qualifying students can receive up to $1,000 per year. It's awarded on a first come, first served basis. Coming this fall, there are some changes regarding how the VA will be calculating the housing allowance for Chapter 33 recipients. BAH, your basic housing allowance, will be calculated using the zip code for your on-site classes, i.e. the physical location of the classroom utilized. We're also happy to announce that Hopkins offers various networking opportunities for our veteran students. For current students, there is an online networking group via LinkedIn. Simply search the Johns Hopkins University Veterans Connection Group or Johns Hopkins Veterans to locate that group. For alumni, we have a veterans networking group that's offered through our Alumni Affinity office, and you can find more information on that group simply by visiting alumni.jhu.edu. Students who are educated outside of the U.S. do have some additional admissions requirements. They must submit an international credit evaluation of credit earned at any non-U.S. institutions. We prefer that they go through WES. That's a third-party credit evaluation service organization to get this evaluation. They also must provide proof of English proficiency via, for example, qualifying scores on a TOEFL exam. Unfortunately, international students studying on an F1 student visa are not eligible to enroll in our online and part-time graduate programs, as our registrar's office can no longer issue these students an I-20. The I-20 is the form necessary to maintain an F1 student visa. It confirms the location of a student's classes and that the student is indeed taking an in-person class at the university. I know that we talked just recently about kind of the large number of on-site courses available in these programs. However, because our online and part-time programs as a whole are migrating more of their coursework online, we are not confident that we have enough on-site coursework for students to meet their residency requirements. So the registrar's office has made a decision in mass that we can no longer offer the Form I-20. International students, however, are permitted to study with us online from their home country. So you can still study with us, you just have to study with us online. Next steps and important dates. If you are interested in studying with us, your first step is to submit your application for admissions. You can do this by visiting the URL on your screen, ep.jhu.edu/apply. And then submit your academic transcripts and your professional resume. We have rolling admissions for our online and part-time programs. It typically takes admissions and the academic departments 4 to 6 weeks from the time that they receive a student's completed application. So that's their electronic application, as well as their resume and their academic transcripts. 4 to 6 weeks to review that packet and then to issue that applicant a decision letter. So with that timeline in mind, here are some important dates. The fall registration opens on July 5th, and the fall semester begins on August the 27th. So still lots of time available for you to submit your application materials for fall. I do encourage you, however, if you are interested in studying with us in the fall semester, to submit your application as soon as possible, ideally for best consideration by June 15th if possible. The spring semester, right around the corner, registration begins on October the 25th, and the spring semester begins on January the 28th, so right around the corner. And that is the end of the prepared portion of this presentation. Now I'd like to hand it over to Tom and Eleanor to answer some of your questions. Tom?
Thank you, Cheryl. As you can see, I hope from the questions that are on, both Eleanor and I have been working through a lot of the questions and put sort of answers up directly on the screen. So hopefully that will cover most of what you're trying to get to. I will say that, just in general, if you're comparing Johns Hopkins, this particular degree program, to other degree programs like Georgia Tech or some of these other ones, there are many, many trade-offs to consider when considering a master's degree. We have deliberately picked the approach on this program to maximize the engagement between the faculty and the students, to make sure that we still have small class sizes and the ability to interact with students, to have personally graded and provided feedback from the assignments. And because of that, that is why our program is structured in this way. Other programs that you might take are perfectly good programs. This is simply the way we've emphasized ours that are kind of in there. I would encourage you to look and choose carefully and hopefully choose our program. So I'll answer a couple of other things that are coming up here. Substitute courses for experiences or certifications. So I will say that for the most part, we do not accept certifications or training or MOOCs or those things in lieu of any of our prerequisites, primarily because none of those really can take the place of doing well in an academic course. So the certifications and whatnot may help you in terms of familiarizing you with the material, or help you to perhaps refresh if you've taken the courses but they are some time ago, but we don't actually accept those as actual prerequisites. So let's see, we've got what percentage of students are women? Eleanor, you probably have those stats at your fingertips. I will only say that the percentage is too low currently, and that we really encourage a wide variety of diversity, including women and minorities in our program. And they are most welcome to apply and are very successful within the program.
So as I posted to the question board, the percentage of women is about 14 to 16 in computer science. It's a little bit higher in cybersecurity, and it's actually quite a bit higher in ISE. I'm not sure why that is the case. Has asked about not having his transcripts. Could he just supply the original certificates? No, you will probably need to get a foreign credential evaluation, and all that material would go to them. Although we would appreciate copies of your mark sheets at some point. All right, let's see. We want all of your transcripts. So if you went to a community college and then you went to a 4-year school for after that, we want both of those. If you went to 5 community colleges and 3 4-year schools because you moved around a lot, we want all the transcripts. Because even though courses may be listed in transfer credit, they're typically not listed with the appropriate amount of detail. You are better off sending us every transcript you have rather than guessing. It's surprising the number of students who are upset that we have asked them to do a particular prerequisite because they've met it, and it turns out they didn't provide that transcript. Lydia is asking about technology. We use Blackboard. That's the school's supported course management system. Courses in Blackboard use either Adobe Connect or Zoom, primarily for the online synchronous chat sessions that occur. Career opportunities. So there is something new called Handshake, Han, that is basically a career marketplace, and there are some other support services as well.
Eleanor, I can give some additional information about this as well. The Career Center on campus does hold various job fairs throughout the year. I think that they have one, a couple actually, in the fall, and they range from general job fairs and then, engineering specific, and the online and part-time students are encouraged, invited to participate in those as well. So there are career fairs that happen at the Homewood campus that online and part-time students are encouraged to participate in if they are interested. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that the Career Center has been hosting a number of online information sessions specifically geared to our part-time students, our students who are already in the workforce, have been in the workforce for a number of years, addressing things like, tips for improving your resume, keeping that up to date, tips for, rising within your organization, things like that. So there's also various online information sessions that are available to you as well.
Okay, Matthew, you say in cybersecurity you didn't see any specific courses in application security. Yes, you are correct. However, that is one of the areas that we're actively developing classes. So as I say, in cybersecurity, we've got a relatively fast-moving set of courses going on there, and you can expect to see several courses between application security, operating system security, and secure development showing up as we continue to develop the program. Karthik, you say, how are the weekly discussion assignments structured? This varies quite a bit depending on exactly how the classes instructed. The instructors have a lot of leeway in terms of this, but typically there is a discussion section where there is a question posted, and students get to answer the questions and comment on each other's answers. That's typically how I've seen it structured. What is the acceptance rate, Hans? And I will say that we accept all qualified students. We don't have the same space requirements as the full-time program, so we're actually able to scale to accept all students that are actually fully qualified. It's one of the reasons that we actually have the bar fairly high in terms of our accepted students, because we want to be able to accept all qualified students that come in.
So you asking about accepting courses on Coursera. Unfortunately, we do not. We do not accept any coursework taken as a MOOC. We only accept courses or consider courses that are taken at regionally accredited U.S. institutions and taken for credit and a grade. Emmett is saying that he applied and it's been about 4 weeks. At this point in time, Emmett, we are so overwhelmed with applications that it is taking a lot longer than it normally does in order to get a decision. You will get a decision. You should get it in time to register for the fall. But at this point, you have missed too much of an online class to actually register for one. The calendar will tell you that the window for registering for an online class is still open, but that's not, as an instructor, I don't think that that's realistic. And so at this point, you know, just look forward to the fall.
So Joel, you ask, what equipment do you actually need to complete the coursework? Again, that varies pretty widely depending on which degree program you choose and what exact courses you take. Typically, just your regular home computing environment will be sufficient, but we often have servers to connect to in order to complete for some classes, and in rare cases, we will even send you hardware in order to do some of the required assignments in a couple of the classes, especially in terms of real-time processing.
Okay. Young Jin is asking about how long it takes to complete the program. We have students that finish in as little as 1.5 years and others that take the full 5 years. The average student graduates somewhere between 3 and 3.5 years. So Joel's on the West Coast. Our classes are asynchronous by policy. The only synchronous component is going to be the office hours, which are optional, and you can listen to the recording if you cannot attend. The amount of time spent on the lectures is going to be vary considerably depending on the course. There might be 2 hours of video, there might be 30 minutes of video. Every course is structured differently because they are custom designed.
So Daniel asks about class sizes. For online classes, we are capped at 19 students per section. And that is to really make sure we have the maximum engagement between the instructors and the students and between students and each other. For in-person classes, we can go all the way up to about 27 in a class, although typically the sizes tend to be about 10 to 15 in the in-person classes.
So Siddhartha is asking about doing research with professors, opportunity to do 1 or 2 independent studies at the end of your degree, should you want to do that. And that is definitely an opportunity to do research. We encourage publication quality papers to be formed as a result. And in the event that you have a paper accepted at a conference, we will contribute to your travel expenses so you can get there and present it.
So we've had a couple of questions on the graduation rate. I don't have a specific figure on the graduation rate right now, mostly because the amount of time it takes a student to finish varies so widely. I will say that the vast majority of students who has tuition reimbursement by their university do graduate, and we have a very high participation and graduate rate each year coming out. So although I don't have a specific figure, the graduation rate is actually very high in comparison to other universities.
So Iseren is, I hope I said that right, says he's torn between the data science track and the communications and networking track within computer science. What should he do? Well, first of all, by the time you do any prerequisites you might need and you take the 3 foundation courses, you'll have had a lot more time to think about it, and there may be other factors in your life that will have shifted and will make that decision for you. Otherwise, if that has not happened, then my advice would be to take the principles course in each of those areas, and that will help you to make a more informed decision about which track is the better fit for you. However, at the end of the day, you should do the track that matches your passion, not make a choice based on what you think is the most lucrative career option.
So Hugo asks, how many classes can he take per semester? Our recommendation is to take no more than 2, unless for some reason you're actually able to suspend your job or full-time position and attend, classes on a more full-time basis, even though you're taking them part-time. This is our experience just in terms of success of the students. Students who take more than 2 courses tend to be less successful as those that limit themselves to 2 per semester. If you take 2 per semester in the fall and spring and 1 in the summer, which is a reasonable load, you can finish your degree within 2 years. And that's really doing a lot of work to finish the degree smartly and sort of coming into it.
So given that the average student takes between 3 and 3.5 years to finish the degree, that tells you something about the rate at which students take classes. We do find there are students who have to take the odd semester off. Maybe they're being deployed, maybe they're doing too much business travel, something's going on in their personal life, so it just depends. We do, however, Hugo, recommend that you only start with 1 because you need to allow yourself the opportunity to reintegrate school back into your life. Joel is asking if the coursework is team-oriented or individual effort. You will find both. Most of the work tends to be more individually oriented, but there are courses that have collaborative projects, and sometimes they're small things that are just an opportunity to interact, and sometimes they are major projects. A lot of variability again.
So Christopher, yes, I can confirm that you can apply in the last semester of your bachelor's degree, and you could get an acceptance that is dependent upon finishing in good standing with the degree. You do have to complete the degree before you can start taking any classes within the graduate program.
So Aya is asking if it's common for MEs and EEs to apply to the CS Master's Program. Yes, it is. We actually have quite a few EEs and ECEs who have applied to computer science. Not so many mechanicals, but a smattering. So Juan is asking about the concentration. In general CS, you can just do general CS. There is a track requirement, but it's not recognized. It's just a depth requirement. So you might want to go back in the recording when you get the link, Juan, and listen to the earlier part where we talk about that. It is possible to work at the program at a full-time level, Christopher.
So, and it also is possible to complete the degree in 5 years, but a certification must be completed in 3 years. That's the current requirement that we have right now. If there is a special case, you are certainly welcome to come and try to apply for an exception. So Cornelius asked the minimum and maximum GPA requirements to pursue the master's in ISE with the data engineering program. Again, we're looking at a 3.0 minimum GPA We don't actually have a minimum. If you have a much higher GPA than that, that's perfectly fine. But that's really what we look for as a minimum, because we really like for all of the students to be well prepared to take these programs.
So Zayed is asking about transitioning from the postmaster certificate to a second MS. So are you really asking if the certificate courses will apply to a second MS? If you are, then the answer is possibly, but you have to make the change before you are awarded the PMC.
And I will also say that if you're taking a PMC in an area, you probably are taking that in the area that you already have an MS degree. Taking a PMC in a different area, you may still have to make sure that you have all of the foundations and requirements before actually transitioning into the master's program directly. Are there EP communities in the Bay Area of California? So we actually have a growing population of students both in Northern and Southern California. We don't have a formal group of students or a regular gathering. But again, as we grow these programs in each of the areas, that is something we could certainly consider. Carol George, I've heard that the questions and answers will be emailed out. You will get a link to the recording of this session. And of course, all the questions will be included in that recording.
So Arizona is asking how many students we currently have. I can't tell you how many are online only because we don't limit students to one modality. We currently have somewhere between 12 and 1,500 bodies in computer science. And I say it that way because that's different than the number of registrations. And Chen, we are not planning to add courses to help prepare for certification.
All right, everyone, thank you so very much for spending your evening with us and for letting us take you a little bit over past 8. Eleanor and Tom, thank you so much for your time this evening and for answering all of these questions.
My pleasure, and thank you all for attending. And again, if you have any questions, you'll see our emails up on the screen. Please feel free to reach out and ask any questions that you think of later on.